Welcome back to Small Town Meth. Today we're going to continue talking about the real Heisenburg of Minnesota, and his name is Ivan. Now, I mentioned before briefly about the original players. It was me, Guy, his wife Lori, and Johnny, who came in later. An update on Guy and Lori. See, they had a beautiful house and 4 kids. Lori had a good job and seemed to be the perfect wife and mother. But once she got addicted to meth, it was game over. She turned into the biggest fiend. A fiend is somebody who cannot say no. They're always chasing, always spinning, never satisfied. The worst kind of meth addict. Eventually, Lori just walked away, just like that. Left her kids, left her husband, left her life. She started spending time at Johnny's house. Johnny lived 10 miles away with 3 other guys, and Lori moved in. Not as a girlfriend, not as a roommate, but as a cook, a cleaner, and anything else they wanted. Basically a house whore. Her new gig was trading favors to stay high. And it didn't take long for that house to get noticed. I had another buddy from high school that lived across the street. And this was out in the country. And his wife ended up snitching on Johnny and the crew. And they got raided, and he was gone. 4-year prison sentence. Another guy named JP, also a race car driver, he also went down. Same deal. The feds were cracking down hard, not just random cops either. Chief investigators. When the sheriff's investigators are on the case, that's when you either go dark or get clean. These aren't rookies. These are the detectives who don't play. Danny, another friend, also got busted. His 2 sons followed in his footsteps. Got big in the game, and all 3 of them eventually ended up in prison at the same time. Can you imagine being in prison with your 2 sons? This was the wave crashing down. Everyone I came up with was either locked up or disappeared. But Ivan was still around. He'd been busted too, followed by cops after they tracked Lori, who was now hanging around his shop. He got caught with meth-making chemicals, but somehow he walked. Something got screwed up in the case, maybe a technicality. Either way, he skated free. And then Ivan got tight with these 2 other people that I knew, Karen and Rob. Karen used to be married to my old roommate, Dean, who died in a freak work accident. He was decapitated by a roll-off dumpster. And after Dean died, Karen ended up with Rob. And he was a crackhead that eventually started cooking meth. Ivan started hanging out there. I stopped by once and Ivan was there, looking wired and twitchy. Karen and Rob didn't trust me because I was smarter than them, and it made them paranoid. Because Ivan was really smart, I was pretty smart, and that intimidated them. But I played it cool. I needed a connection really bad. With all my usual suppliers locked up or burned out, I had no choice but to start buying meth from people connected to the cartels. Mexican dope. Expensive. That's when I started missing mortgage payments. I filed bankruptcy and got foreclosure papers. I was still working at the time, still tried to keep up the double life. My son Devin had just been born, and I promised myself I'd quit before he learned to walk, then before he learned to talk, then before he went to kindergarten. The promises kept moving back because the addiction never stopped. We started packing up the house. I was bitter. I had just spent tens of thousands remodeling the place, and now it was being yanked out from under me. I did what most tweakers do. I took everything I could. Copper wiring, fixtures, the shed, the deck. Whatever the bankruptcy rules allowed me to strip and sell, I stripped and sold. One night someone knocked at the door of my bike shop after hours. It was Ivan. He had a trailer full of tools and said he was leaving his wife and starting fresh. We smoked some meth and talked business. I begged him to front me a half a gram. He finally did. I laid it on thick. I told him I could buy all the doors and build them all for his new shop, fill them full of cement, make them bash proof that the cops couldn't break into with a battering ram. I told him anything that I thought he wanted to hear because I wanted some more dope. Then the next morning, Ivan's face was all over the news. He got busted on his way to open that shop, caught with a tank of anhydrous ammonia, 7 years in prison, gone. 2 months later, I was evicted. 2 weeks after that, fired. They rehired everyone but me. Technically, I was temporarily laid off, but they didn't call me back. They called everybody else back. I remember driving by the old window shop, seeing everybody's car there except mine. I can't really explain to you how I felt, but my 20 $4 an hour job, gone. And back in 2007, that was a lot of money. My name stained, my house gone, my reputation still intact, ironically, because of the double life. It was still intact. My family didn't know the full story. We rented a cheap house in the bad part of town. I pretended that we just started over, and that the middle-aged white man got screwed on that recession, I kept saying. That's when I made the call. I was going to sell meth full-time and collect unemployment. Because of the recession, the government had extended benefits. I was getting $440 a week. That was good money in 2007. It felt like maybe, just maybe, I could still come out of this. But that's when I started to not care. I was doubling down on every tactic I ever learned. I was really bitter. I had nothing left but meth and lies. And for the first time, I didn't want to get clean. I wanted to succeed at this. I didn't know I was about to learn more than I ever want. More than any man should. A new era had begun, and it was the scariest part of my life. Tune in next time, and I'll tell you a story about a guy who tried to do me dirty, but I fixed his wagon. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching my video. And we'll talk to you next time. Leave a like, subscribe.